All right, we are back here on the podcast. The Masters are coming up here. Admittedly, one of my least favorite times of year means the NCAA tournament is ending, but I do enjoy this tournament. Glad to have with us here a great PGA guy from the PGA Tour, Dan DeMartini is here. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. I'm glad to be back. It's hopefully I don't know how things are up in the Northeast, but it's definitely the golf season is full swing down here for sure, and we are enjoying it and exciting times. And once again, we're having a heck of a season on the PGA Tour. So some really cool things happening as we head into the first official major.
Yeah, it's a little today up here on day recording is warm but rainy, so like it's very
Okay.
true April weather.
Yeah. Do you see, is there anything green on the ground yet, or is it still all gray and snowy?
No, the snow has been gone for a little bit. We had a 70-degree day about a week and a half ago, kind of wiped out
Oh,
whatever I have left.
nice. Well, it's 90 here, so
You need a sunscreen down there.
oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. And speaking of the golf here, obviously, like I've been a little locked in the March Madness and the start of the baseball season. I've not been as up to speed on the start of the golf season. You want to let me know like some of the stuff I should be aware of here as we get into the first major of the year.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting year just to kind of give you the overview. Obviously, the winners this year on the PGA Tour have been such an interesting cross section of the PGA Tour players. You've got young guys who are making a name for themselves. You've got big name players like Rory McIlroy has won twice at Pebble Beach, and then the Players Championship just a couple weeks ago. You've got players like Victor Hovland who are coming back from injuries, who won at Valspar. Up and coming names that you may know, like Ludwig Aubert, who won back in February. And then you've got a lot of international players who are starting to really make a name for themselves. And then obviously, the most well-known of all of them, you've Hideki wins to start off the year in Hawaii. So whether it's Joe Highsmith's great story of winning a few weeks back, or you've got just a wonderful stretch here where even just this past week, Minwoo Lee, who is a wonderful personality and another international player who is, you probably have seen that name creep up some leaderboards over the past 2 years now. He finally breaks through and wins in Houston, and it was a really with Scotty Scheffler finishing second. And possibly the thing to say for the casual golf fan who hasn't followed so far, yes, you're wondering if Scotty Scheffler is still playing and if what's going on. He had the hand injury back, around the holiday time, but just because he hasn't won yet doesn't mean he's not lurking. And he is playing his best golf. He finished second last week. I think he's got two second places. He's made every cut. He has finished, I believe, in the top 20 at every event he's played. His game is starting to heat up right at the right time as we head into Augusta. So although Rory has kind of taken the spotlight a bit recently, Scotty is right there and primed to retain his jacket.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that's on my radar I haven't gotten to yet, but I will soon. I know Full Swing season 3 came out, so I'm gonna try and get to those episodes. Like I've been a little backed up. I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to watch, so like that's on my soon list.
Yeah, and it's obviously, season one really kicked things off. Season two, was for really I would say the storylines were kind of just not finished yet, but season three of Full Swing really has some entertaining pieces to it. So I'm not going to spoil too much. I would definitely put it on your list if you are looking for that, real deep cut into what life is like as a PGA Tour player and just what's going on in professional golf.
Yeah, it's for sure here. And obviously, I got to start with Scotty Scheffler, reigning champion here. And those unaware of the injury that Dan is referencing, like he had it feels like one of those weird baseball injuries where he's like making homemade ravioli and a wine glass breaks and it gets glass in his palm. He has surgeries and playing now, though. So,
It's
Dan,
exactly what happened. I mean, he basically, from what I understood, he cut his hand. And then there was everything has been fine. I mean, he's played, that was months ago. And he's played incredible golf. I mean, you kind of go through his profile, and you can see he's played 6 events this year. He obviously didn't play in Hawaii, but he started at Pebble Beach in February. He finished top 10. He was D9. He's finished ninth, 25th, third, 11th, 20th, and then second. So um, he's fine. He's fine. He just hasn't necessarily broke through yet, and those days are coming very soon. So I don't know. It's a weird spot because Scotty was so dominant last year, winning just event after event. Most people would think he's fallen off, but he's right there. And even if you think you're winning a tournament, he's probably right behind you. So not a fun thing to see in the rearview mirror.
No, and it's crazy to think about like how dominant he was last year, and now like he basically is coming off an injury. It's probably sidelined the casual golfer for like a couple of months, and like he's back within a month, and he's like working where he's not like now we're getting to the point with him we're getting close to Tiger level expectations where it's like okay, like if he doesn't win, something is wrong. Whereas he's still having a great year.
Yeah, and once again, he's the talent and his. What's special about Scotty is his demeanor and his ability to just put bad shots or shots that didn't go away. He never really shows the frustration. He's so confident and so cool and confident and been there, done that. Um, it's a scary thing for competitors because they just know that there's nothing that'll really rattle him. Sometimes when you're watching an event, whether it's on PGA Tour Champions or KFT or Americas or wherever it is, and you see somebody who's got a lead, and it's like, oh man, their knees are going to be shaking on with a one shot lead on the last hole. Like that's going to be a nervous tee shot. With Scotty, he just always looks in control, and even if he makes bogey, he still looks like the calmest, most in control bogey of all time. So it's just special. It's just it's the reason he's the best in the game.
Yeah, it certainly is here. And talk about some of these other contenders. You talk about Rory here, and like the narrative will always continue, like, oh, like he's due. He has not won the Masters, trying to become one of the few to win the career slam here. He's playing well the start of the year. Like does the question of him always feels like that mental adjustment once he gets to Augusta and knows he needs the green jacket to finish off like his golf legacy in essence. So what do you think about
Yeah,
Rory?
I really do feel like there was this reminder meme that came up across one of my feeds or something like that, and it's like, the last time Rory won a major, what was going on that year, and I believe it was 2014, and
Yeah.
you forget that it's been that long. I mean, we are well over a decade now since his last major victory, and it's so surprising because he's won so many other things during that time frame, and he's played such great golf. I don't want to like spoil it, but I feel like I know when I said this on your podcast now after year, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the year Rory breaks through. This is gonna be the year. It feels like the path for him is the most open it's ever been. There isn't, one player just winning, 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 winning right now. He's the one who just got through and won in a playoff at the Players Championship and is playing it. He has that feeling right now. His game is so tight. It's just ready for this. I don't even want to say the words because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to put it out there. But if there was ever a year where you would feel really good with where Rory's at, I would say this would be the year.
Yeah, it's good to know here. And who are some of the other contenders right now you feel like are playing good golf and could bring their games to Augusta this week and be in the mix for the
Yeah, sure. I think if I were to give you a sure thing, I mean, Colin Morikawa, he's just had an amazing year so far. I mean, I think he finished third last year at the Masters, which is a really encouraging sign. Like clearly his game matches up. He hits a lot of fairways. He's an incredible iron player, and you have to be able to hit greens and reg there, and that's what Colin does great. He's been in the top 25 in all 5 events he's played this year. He's got 2 second place finishes so far and a top 10 at the Players Championship just a couple weeks ago. Like Colin Morikawa is somebody where I don't know if he'll if he'll win, but man, if I had to choose like who's going to be in the top 10, like he's somebody I would definitely feel strong about. Um, some of the other guys who just I feel like Minwoo Lee, he just won last week, but I feel like he is another person who his game really fits for what Augusta requires, and I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the moment at all. This isn't nothing's too big for him because he truly enjoys the game. He enjoys the fans. He enjoys the experience. Um, and I think he's playing his best golf right now as well. Another player who I just am always on, Ludwig Aubert is somebody who I just think that he has the prototypical, like if I could choose who me personally, whose golf swing I would love to have, like to steal their, like go full on Monstars, and take somebody's talent, like it would be his. He finished second last year. Um, at the Masters, and obviously has already won once this year. So I would definitely lean towards Ludwig. And then once again, happy to talk about it, but like, Bryson is out there and you can't avoid the fact that, I don't know what he's done so far this year on that, outlet. Um, I don't know how much competitive, juices he's got, but it always comes up around the majors. And whenever he has an opportunity to, play in a big event like this, he seems to bring his best. And we all remember what happened last year at the Open and at the U.S. Open, and he was in the mix. Remember, he was leading going into the weekend, I believe, last year at the Masters, and then he fell apart a little bit there. But his game he's an incredible athlete, incredible talent off the tee box. You got to be able to hit it far. And to get yourself out of trouble and to give yourself good sight lines, and he does that. Once again, it's really hard to tell what he's going to do because we just don't see him playing at, in that sort of venue where you would know his game is ready for it, like you do with Rory, seeing how he played at the Players, and Scotty's recent results playing on the PGA Tour. So those are some of the bigger names. And then, obviously some of the fun things are, those looking at what the sleepers would be like and some of the guys that are a little bit further down.
Yeah, speaking of those sleepers, like, who are some guys you have your eye on here? You feel like could be like sneaky, like okay, maybe they're flirting with the top 10, like maybe like they're hanging around the leaderboard through like 2 rounds. Like, who do you have your eyes on there?
Yeah, and it's always kind of fun because a sleeper at Augusta, right, is not a sleeper during a regular week on the PGA Tour. Because as you're noticing, is certain guys' games fit to certain golf courses. So there's a lot of people who, Corey Connors has won the Valero Texas Open and his game fits really well at TPC San Antonio. He also historically plays pretty well at Augusta. So if he plays really well this week, I would assume you'd think he'd probably be a bit of a sleeper for next week. Um, some of the other guys that are a little bit further down the list. Daniel Berger's had a surprisingly good year. I think he's a player who we all knew his name a couple years ago, and he's back on the rise again. I would definitely keep my eye on him. Akshay Bhatia, always he seems like a sleeper, but he's not anymore. Um, I think these are some of the young stars on the PGA Tour that are looking to break through, and I could absolutely see him playing well, and be a bit of a sleeper. If we were going to go with a player who's kind of a throwback, I don't know where he's at health wise, but I just get this weird feeling that we're not done with Jason Day. He's played quite a few events so far this year. I think I would not be shocked if you see like a Jason Day top 15 finish. I think he, obviously he's had great success at Augusta in the past, and I just don't think we're done with him. And then to kind of give you just, a super, super, quote unquote sleeper of sorts. Um, Aaron Rai is a player who I know I've mentioned on this podcast before. He's local to our headquarters here. He works incredibly hard in the gym, and he's a player who, if he's in this field, which I believe he is, um, the way he plays the game of golf, very methodical, very structured, doesn't bring in a lot of danger with his golf swing. Um, and he can really putt the ball. I think his experience, his access to playing kind of southern, southeastern United States golf, um, puts him in a really good spot. And I think he's a player who's also ascending, has had some success, has won PGA Tour event. Um, and, I think he's a sleeper to watch. I
Yeah,
always feel good taking Aaron Rai.
yeah, well, that's always nice to have that confidence in a guy. And one thing I'm curious about here is obviously like the course itself. Obviously, Augusta usually doesn't change much, but obviously we had Hurricane Helene roll through last year. I know there's some trees missing from the damage on the course. I know the Augusta people have said like the course is fine, not really notice much here, but like are there any noticeable changes in terms of like on the course besides the missing trees?
They always talk about, um, looking at the green complexes.
Yeah.
And I know that each year they might, as much as like they would advertise, it's so hard because they don't, Augusta is so difficult. It doesn't get the looks that it would from like outside media sources. Like you really kind of have to take it from the people who have played it and then get to play it now. But I'm under the impression, just from what Rory has said about his practice rounds, that they are tweaking a few of the greens in terms of, the accessibility, from certain angles off the tee. And they've expanded certain spots. They've restructured some of the bunkers, and probably put themselves in a spot where they would have some exciting new pin locations, which every year, you kind of know what to expect year after year watching where the Sunday pins are going to be. I think it's exciting to think through what else they could do, to make Friday and Saturday and even the opening round even more difficult. So I'm under the impression that a few of the greens have been modified. I don't think they've been major changes like we've seen in the past. And once again, as you mentioned, the hurricane that did go through, thankfully, has not put the course in a spot where any sort of major traditional what you'd expect to see, is going to be ruined. So it's turned out they got lucky, and I think it's going to be another great year of Sunday afternoon golf watching for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be also a new experience for the golf audience for really watching on CBS because this is the first time Vern Lunk was required last year after 40 years calling the Masters here. It's going to be weird to not have Vern on 16 on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where I think maybe we've taken for granted, um, how when you close your eyes and you think about the memories you have watching the Masters with your family, with your friends, whoever it is, and the sounds and sights that you know exactly when you're watching the Masters. And to be missing a voice like that, it's not something that you can replace. So they're going to try. I know that there's been a lot in the news about different broadcasters and their potential end dates and changes. We're in an interesting period. For years, you've heard from golf fans, casuals, diehards, whatever it is, that new voices need to come into the broadcast, and changes along those lines. But then there's this other argument where it's like, but this is what we know and we love. And for Vern not to be there is it's definitely something to kind of acknowledge. And I hope they do acknowledge that during the broadcast, this year. And, you can only hope that whoever comes in, creates some new traditions and some new memories for the young kids that are watching it for the first time.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen how tricky it is to please the golf audience on television. I know when Fox got the U.S. Open a couple of years ago, and they think they sent Joe Buck out, they sent some other people out, and like fans were not happy at all. I think Fox kind of gave the contract up immediately, gave it back to NBC. So like it tells you how very difficult Neil is because like you have these long-standing like traditional announcers who are so good at their jobs, and then you're trying to find the new voices who will also like bring the game to the next generation?
We on the PGA Tour, we've done quite a few things to try to help. We did this big thing it's public knowledge that we put out a thing called the Fan Forward Survey, and it basically was to try to identify areas where our fans could really have their voices heard and things that they want to see. And you've seen the response to that by the PGA Tour and a lot of some of the broadcast elements that you're seeing now. You see these player walk-in talks where players are mid-round interviews where they're able to actually get inside the head of a player who's out there and engaged on course, not just a post round or a pre-round interview. um, and you're seeing another coming very soon here where there's going to be the fans have not only talked about broadcast, but they've just talked about speed of play. And one of the major storylines in golf right now is, how fast should a professional round be? How long should the telecast be? Or how long is the average, round of golf? And people nowadays, our attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter. So one of the things that we are testing is, not necessarily, quote unquote, a shot clock, but more so just testing the ability if players are going to use a distance only measuring device like a rangefinder. It obviously has to have approved settings where it can measure distance only, but you're going to start seeing that out there, and you're going to see players. We're at least trying to figure out if instead of just using your standard yardage, whether if using a rangefinder is going to make it faster for you to at least figure out your number. Now, once again, it can't tell you anything except for the distance, but will that speed up pace of play? Maybe. We're about to find out. So you'll see there's the PGA Tour is doing a lot of fun, interesting things to try to make the experience at a golf event and watching the telecast better. So we've heard the fans' voices, and there's a lot of exciting things coming very soon.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, before we wrap up here, I know you have a couple different thoughts on who could win this thing. If you had to like put your chip on somebody right now, who would it be? Would it be Scotty?
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler is going to win again.
Yeah,
And I just, he's going to win. I think that the conditions will be um, probably I haven't even seen the weather report on it yet, but I will say that I do. If the conditions are fair, if they're not going to get a ton of rain or wind or anything, I think Scotty Scheffler is still the best in the world. Do I want to see Rory break through? Yeah, because it's a great storyline, and he's clearly put the work in, and he's got his life in a good spot here, and it's I would I want to see that? Absolutely. But Scotty Scheffler is going to win the Masters in 2025.
yeah, he's getting dangerously close to that point where we were with Tiger. Where it's like you take Tiger or the field. We're almost getting to the point where it's Scheffler or the field.
Yeah, and it's Scheffler for sure, and I feel really good saying that.
All right, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to follow you on social media. How can I do that?
Sure, DMart207 on Twitter and or X, and other than that, go Duke.